welcome to JJ's Talk Show. So today we're going to talk about our favorite sports. So today our guest is going to be Jeremy, which is me, and Justin, and May. So we're going to have 3 people instead of 2 like we normally have. So now, before we get into our topic of favorite sports, we're going to listen to a song by a band called Jonzetta. The name of the song is Get Ready. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that song. So, like I said a little bit earlier, we're going to be talking about our favorite sports. So, first off, let me ask you, Justin, what is your favorite sport?
My favorite sport? Well, when people ask me that question, I sort of think, favorite sport to play or favorite sport to watch? I would have to say favorite sport to watch, football. Football is very aggressive and around the family most of the time, especially during the fall season. You know, football is just starting up. I like football because it's a very aggressive sport. There are a lot of talented men, and I like to see the cities that the sports are played in, like the Dallas Stadium and Chicago, San Francisco, New York, Jersey, Atlanta. I love to see all those players going to different major cities and playing in football.
So do you like to watch college football or professional football?
That's a good question. I think I like to watch professional football, but in the States, a lot of times college football is the most popular.
I'm more of a college football kind of guy, but I do like watching professional football more. What about May? Do you ever watch football?
I have no idea about what you're talking about, but I have just little knowledge about sports, so I'm not a great fan of sports any. So if I can say that about the sports, I would like kind of, especially this time, there was summer sports game in Busan or Daejeon.
Was it Daegu?
Maybe Daegu.
Daegu, yeah.
Yeah, so I was not interested in marathon or running, whatever, but Usain Bolt, he was inspired me to run. So nowadays, I make a rule to run or jog around the stadium, because there is one big complex kind of stadium near my house. Only take about 3 or 5 minutes to go. So I would go there with my daughter, and then jog or running or whatever. It kind of takes about 30 minutes.
Yeah,
daily.
Usain Bolt is just crazy fast. It's insane.
Yes.
Now, you spent some time in Australia. What sports did you see?
Mostly about surfing. They're crazy about surfing.
Yeah.
Especially the young people are just day and night, and when surfing, I don't understand why. And the main reason is because there are many beaches in Australia, so many people are so into the surfing.
Sounds like Hawaii. Hawaii's big into surfing too. I think it's kind of like, Australia is just a really big island, so maybe that's why.
Maybe, anyway, yeah.
But so Justin, what's your favorite sport to actually play?
My favorite sport to actually play, well, I'm glad you're asking that question. In university, I was able to participate in rowing, or crew as we call it. And I really love that sport because it's very team-oriented. Golf is, you're playing against yourself and other sports like that. But with rowing, you always had your team. Now, with crew or rowing in university, I did a semester at Old Dominion, and I did a semester in the UK. Now, with Old Dominion, the procedure was a little different. I had to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we had to go to the boathouse and practice. So that meant that my whole team of 8 or 4, whatever team you're in, we had to basically get the boat out from the boathouse, walk out to the dock, make sure that the tide wasn't too low, and place the boat into the river or to lake, whatever body of water is near you. So I really enjoyed that. It was a good fresh start to the morning, and what I liked about rowing is that a lot of people think it's an arm sport, but actually it's more of a leg sport.
Okay.
It's really heavy on the legs. So, like you said, running, exercising daily, eating right was very essential to becoming a good rower.
You sound like a doctor.
I'm just speaking from my coach. I mean, my coach was I think he spent some time in the UK rowing, and he's very, very good.
Even your health trainer.
A health trainer?
Yeah.
Well, it would, not only with rowing, but with basketball and football, any sport you throw on the table, I think health is a big part of it, I think that's the only way you can really enjoy the sport you're playing.
You see, your memory was so clear, it means like you're having a great time, right?
Well, it was my first time.
Yeah.
It was my first time, and it was my first impression of playing a sport in university, so I had a great time. Yeah.
You can be also called like professional?
Professional rowing, yes. Now, when you're a professional rower, you participate in regattas. Those are the races that you see. They're very popular in Europe. And as a matter of fact, when I went to a restaurant in Nobonga, I saw a couple of Korean regattas on TV. I always wondered, I'm like, the Han River is so popular for sports in rowing, and I never saw anyone row in Korea until I saw it on TV. So. What about you, Jeremy? What sport did you like to play?
Well, my favorite sport to play is cycling, mainly mountain biking. I've done some biking on the road, but it's kind of not as fun as mountain biking. So I did the same thing. I did cycle racing, bike racing. I did that in college for 2 years. So
2 years.
For 2 different years. So when we did there, I started out doing mountain biking. So before I started doing the mountain biking with my college, I had maybe rode a bike for a year before, maybe, because I learned how to ride a bike when I was 21. So I started biking very late.
Late bloomer.
But mountain biking is kind of opposite of what you were saying. Biking, especially mountain biking, is more of an individual sport. You work as a team, like you're trying to get your leader that you want them to get as high as they can, but it's more about pushing yourself and pushing your limits and trying to do as best you can. And it's kind of you versus the environment. So it's like you're tackling the mountain as much as you can.
Person like me, like kind of person whose personality is kind of impatient, is not good at...
No, because you have to be very determined. Because after about maybe 5 or 6 miles in a mountain bike course, it hurts really bad. So you have to push yourself really, really hard. Like you get to points where you just want to quit, but you have to get through that. And again, it's another thing, you train a lot.
Absolutely.
But the most important thing about doing a sport like that, you have to love doing it. So when I'm biking, I love it, even if it hurts and stuff. I've fallen a lot, but it's really fun. It's kind of sad that mountain biking is not as big in Korea as it is in America, because there are a few trails I've heard of, but there's not a lot of information about it. So it would be great to see that kind of pop up more here. Because there's so many mountains in the country.
Exactly, and that's the thing about sports, is that once you find a sport that you love, whether in Korea or in America, you all automatically find that community within it. And if there was more cycling in Korea and there was more rowing in Korea, then I think it would be hard for Germany and I in this country.
It's kind of pity that since then, especially Justin, you can't have a chance to ride a boat. Row a boat.
Oh, row a boat, yeah. Well, it depends on the size of the boat. You can either go in singles, where I have to row both sides of the boat. The right side is called the port side, and the left side is the starboard side. Or I could ride it with 4 or 8. So those are the sizes of the boat.
Yeah. So like some things I did when I was mountain biking, like people don't really think mountain biking is that hard, but it's very hard. I mean, when you see people riding, it doesn't look that difficult, but when you get out there and do it, it's very difficult. It's like riding up the hill up to the school, like a lot of students are like, "Oh, that's easy." It's not easy,
especially when you ride it.
But imagine doing that for 16 miles.
Uphill 16 miles.
Yeah, you got up and down. So
wow,
it's kind of one of those things, and it's important, like you said, to have a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we were doing the cycling thing, we had no help from the school really. So it was all student ran. So I had one of my best friends there. Like my first year racing with him, I hated him because he was pushing me so hard. I just hated him. But then after that,
in what way you were?
Because he just kept being like, keep going. You can go faster. So it's kind of like, stop it. I don't like this. And then after my first year, I realized how much help he got me. And like the second year I was racing, I was like 10 times better than I was my first year. So just all about having a good coach or just someone to help push you, and that helps out a whole lot.
Absolutely.
So one other thing, when we're talking about sports I like to watch football as well, but another sport I like to watch, which is becoming very popular, is MMA. Like, most people would think of it as like UFC.
Okay.
They heard UFC, or there's a couple other companies, but that's the biggest one. Okay. So it's very popular in America and around the world, but there's a few very good Korean fighters, but you don't see them very much. It's still growing in this country.
Keeps growing.
Also, football. We're talking about football. Actually, on Wednesdays, I actually play with some students out after school. As soon as school's over, I'll play with some of the students outside. So if anybody's interested in football, Wednesdays, come out on Wednesday after school.
Wednesday's the day.
So, May, is there anything you like to...
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to sports, it seems still sounds like a guy thing, you know? Mm-hmm. Such as, like, shopping is girl thing, something like that. So the girls... Still, the girls are not so crazy about the sports thing. Yeah. Especially, for example, my husband, when he was watching TV, the games on TV, he was so focused on that game, and he barely could hear me, you know.
Oh yeah.
So, but with girls, it just never kind of happens. So
yeah, that's true.
It's only guy things.
I have a friend actually who was cycling. Like, girls are not very big into mountain biking, but one of my friends is now a professional rider. She rides for the largest women's team in the world in Europe. So. Yeah,
good for her.
Yeah, even though a lot of girls don't do it. I mean,
what about your girlfriend?
She's not so big into sports, but she kind of she doesn't really like a lot of sports. That's one thing. I'm trying to get her to start riding bikes, so we'll see if that works.
Okay.
Slowly but surely.
Yep. Yeah. Well, guys, I'm gonna let Justin introduce this next song.
Well, this song is popular. As a matter of fact, during the NBA Finals last year, the song was played during a lot of NBA promos. So this is from the band called Phoenix, the album called Wolfgang Amadeus Phoenix, and the song is called Listomania. I hope you enjoy.
All right, guys, thank you for listening to JJ's Talk Show this week. I've been Jeremy.
I'm Justin.
I'm May.
Thanks for listening, guys. See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.